At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Well, welcome back to another edition of the Jake Nulph Show here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake, and certainly a frustrating loss at Seton Hill, but nonetheless, here we are, and we appreciate Bill and the staff, Jen, everybody who takes such good care of us each and every week. And Coach, you know, again, there are certain things that you just cannot avoid, and a stat sheet that had some big numbers on it is certainly one of them. But I just would like to say something from my perspective on multiple occasions, and I know that, you know, you're still, quite frankly, in the infancy of your coaching tenure as being a head coach, and you're trying to build a program. And I've been doing this for a long time around this league, and I've seen it happen at multiple places. And some may, you know, view this as a homerish view, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. But there was multiple occasions on Saturday, whether it was in the second quarter where it felt like the train was just about to fall off the tracks, or you can't punch it in after the block punt, or then the third quarter where you had those, I think it was 3 straight plus drives. There have been multiple. That's why I get down behind the mic. I'm not a player. But you didn't. You didn't, and there was still
I think what you're looking for
at
is
the end.
Momentum swings, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was, and you couldn't, we always talk about making your own momentum.
Correct.
And it felt like, you know, the old adage, sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't ever get that rock rolling in your direction, but the boys didn't stop pushing.
No, and that's the thing where you had mentioned we got it to within the 2-score game multiple times, and we just couldn't get that next one to close the gap from a momentum as far as those swings that we talked about. And, you know, styles, as far as Seton Hill's defense and the style that they play, Joe, it's very similar to how Cal is. You know, they give you a multiple of exotic fronts and pressures. They play a lot of man-free. They throw a lot at you. And, you know, the message to the offense all week was they're going to get theirs, but when we have an opportunity to get ours, we got to get it. And we made a ton of big plays on the offensive side of the ball. And I talked to our football team today, Joe, the ability to play complementary and all 3 phases firing at once. And it just seemed like on Saturday, you know, when the offense was rolling, we were struggling defensively. When the defense was rolling, we just couldn't quite get the offense rolling. I thought from a kicking standpoint, we played a really solid football game. You'd mentioned the block punt, et cetera. But unfortunately, again, just like last week at Clarion, we just put a punt return on the ground at the worst possible time to start the fourth quarter. And that was the 14-point swing where it was 24-13, first play of the fourth quarter. We had an opportunity to get a half of a field, get it around midfield, and we had all the momentum. Our offense was rolling a little bit. And you know, we just muff the punt. Seton Hill gets it. They hit a 56-yard touchdown pass. Yeah. And there, you know, you think right there, you mentioned, okay, well, we come out in 2 plays, boom, boom, 75 yards to that.
Both times, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I look at, you know, we talk about things that we learned from previous weeks and how do we continue to improve, right? Well, so against Clarion, opening kickoff return, you know, we started out inside our own 10 because we took a penalty. Well, this week, you know, we'd pop it out all the way to the 38-yard line with a great return from Brian Trobel, and he could have easily scored. We talked about it today. I felt like if he pressed it to the sideline more, Joe, instead of cutting it back, we might have been able to outrun the safety there. But, you know, then he hits another we get the ball on offense. We hit a 10-yard run again by Brian. We get the ball close to midfield. Their front took over a little bit. You know, there were just plays that I look at that pushback, right? Seton Hill hits literally the first offensive play they had. They threw a great ball to number 5, Bells. He makes a incredible catch 50-50 over his left shoulder. Well-placed ball, well-executed play. But defensively, we stood up. You know, it was 2nd and 14. Ty Thornton came through with a really big sack.
Ty was unbelievable.
Yeah,
he was everywhere.
He took we got them into a 3rd and long. They ended up missing a field goal, right? They made some plays. They go up 7. We answered on a drive where, if you look at the chunk plays here, Joe, right? Brian, it's a 10-yard run on the perimeter. Isaac throws a ball to Armani Bailey on a corner route, which he makes a great catch for 22 yards. Then we get Teagan involved. He hits an 11-yard swing basically a modified screenplay. Tremendous run after the catch. Gets an 11-yard gain there. We're sitting at 3rd and 10 from the plus 47, and Isaac throws a ball to Armani Bailey where it's a 26-yard gain, but the catch fully extended. Great play in man coverage. Coach DeMeo comes right back to Romani the very next play for a 21-yard touchdown in the back of the end zone. We tie it at 7. Seton Hill, credit to them. They were throwing some slip screens underneath. They basically what we call a sucker play. Ran like a cross country off of that slip screen and a 2 high safeties. We get caught staring in the backfield. Big play, 14-7. You had mentioned just some of those momentum swings. We have a turnover inside our own. I believe the interception that Isaac threw was probably around the 36, 34.
Yeah, about there, yeah.
Again, and it's just Isaac thought it was man. It was zone, predetermined. Kid from Seton Hill makes a great play on the interception. But again, we talk about, okay, this is, I think, where you were talking about, this could go. And defensively, we stood up and forced a field goal. It's 17-7. It's kind of back and forth till literally the end of the second quarter. 38 seconds left. CJ Waldeer, just like we drew it up, and I'll be interested when you get Killian Cooper up here later to talk. He'll talk about, because Killian does a lot of things for us here at Edinboro, but we have these blocks that we dial up every week from a punt return scheme, and this one, CJ executed it. We take it right off of their punter's foot. Kamar Meza scoops it, and he just gets bit by the turf monster, right? We don't score before halftime, so it's 17-7. I thought from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint, we talk about improvements every week. And the communication piece between us as coaches and players and getting on the right page. We were starting the second half on defense. We executed. Now, and Joe, I'm going to tell you, Seton Hill's kickoff return is one of the best in the conference. They've had 2 touchdowns already this year. I knew this was a really good group heading into the game. I felt like our kickoff unit did a great job all day. We got an opportunity to pin them inside the 25. 3 and out. And this is where we talk about seizing momentum. Whoever was watching the game on Saturday, we dialed up a play to start the second half where it was built in off of some of the run plays that we built in. It was like our triple option look, Joe. And we slid the line entirely to the left, knowing the look that we were going to get. And we dialed up a double move with Tegan Brown to start the second half. And when I tell you he was more open than Thad was on the play that we went down and scored, everybody on the offensive line, with the exception of one player, slides left. And the one guy, we just didn't block him, and he sacks Isaac to where we hit that play. Now it's 17-14. Here we go.
I did want to ask you.
That's the thing where you mentioned, and I could go through plays, and there was a lot of them where they'd make a play, we'd answer. They'd make a play, we'd answer. But the story of the game, in my opinion, and where we could talk about, it's always a half dozen plays. Is when we miss, we muff the punt. They score, but we came right down, and that was the thing where we scored. We made it a 2-possession game. We were down 11 with 11 minutes to go, and Seton Hill took the air out of the ball. Yeah. They went, I believe it was 15 plays in 8 minutes, went up, and that was it. Now offensively,
14 for 73, 837 off the game.
There it is, and that was the game. And credit to Seton Hill. We talked about 2 reasons you win, 2 reasons you lose last Monday, and what did we say up front?
Yeah.
Right? And I felt that offensively we got some chunk plays because we were able to ID the exotic pressures and some of the things they were doing, but they also had some chunk plays. And that was where offensively we just stayed in it. We just couldn't get that complementary piece of the defense to get that opportune stop to give our offense the ball back to cut it within 1 score. And hats off to Daniel Day and Seton Hill. They executed, and they won by 10.
I did want to ask you before we get on to Slippery Rock. Jake Cruz wasn't even listed on the depth chart. Hadn't played, I think, since week 1.
The quarterback.
How different was that? And how surprised were you when you got word that was in fact that he was going to be the starter?
I mean, well, I literally, because I thought number 18, their redshirt freshman, played the game of, we watched every game previously.
That's pretty difficult. You beat by the way, you're not getting to start this week.
Yeah, that's where, we saw it, and we were like, okay, well, we knew that Ford played earlier in the year for him. He was more of a dual threat guy, so he did some things, especially on a couple of the 3rd and longs. He made some great plays to hit a couple creases in our pass rush.
Yeah, none of Cruz's stats are consequential on the stat sheet.
9 for 13.
But every play that he made came at a monster time.
Again, and we talk about the ability to manage the game up front. And, we don't like to throw the ball a high percentage of the times. When you look at the games that we've won this year, we've had balance, but when you're chasing the game, you got to throw the ball more. And again, you look at Isaac, and Isaac's got a lot of experience for us here at Edinboro, and he did some really good things in the pass game. Tegan Brown showed up, Thad showed up, Armani showed up. Those guys made plays in the pass game, but our inability to stop the run on Saturday, and we were -2 in the turnover battle again. Again, we're just chasing the game, but to back to your question, Joe, with the quarterback change, that was something that, again, we had watched the film, we knew what kind of player he was. And I thought Seton Hill did a great job of that as their complement to their run game was having him, and he was 9 for 13, and he was very efficient, made plays on the ground and in the air.
It's the Jake Nulph Show. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery. Before we turn the page to Slippery Rock, we're going to talk to a couple of seniors last time out at Sox Harrison. So be sure and stick around. This is the Jake Nulph Show, live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, just past the lake on Route 99.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back. It's the Jake Nulph Show, live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, and certainly always somewhat of a traumatic, if you would, senior day looms. So we got a couple of guys that have a couple of years underneath their belt. Jaadon Kennedy, the right guard. Killian Cooper, the do-it-all linebacker, blitzer, punt blocker, special teams. But and it's weird, guys, because when you're in my line of work and you get to see now years of children that have gone on, what people talk about is the memories that come from it. What people talk about, is it hard work? Does it suck at times? Sure it does. But, you've sort of acquired, and you know how hard it is. Think about how many guys have come and gone since you started. But it's got to feel, and I don't want to get all, watery-eyed here, but to complete, not only, for you, Jade, not only to complete your undergrad, but to now be to be ready to get your master's degree and survive, and I do mean survive college football. That's going to make you guys feel pretty good. And, like I said, record, who cares? You've completed something that, 1% aspire for, and what fraction of that 1% actually see to the finish line? That's got to feel pretty good, Coop, huh?
Yeah, it does feel good. It's a long process, but like you said, it's kind of going to be bittersweet. The good things take out of it, a lot of hard work put into it. So.
And to go off Killian, what did we come here? We're some old heads. We came in 2018, so you just don't know how fast it really goes. Yeah. I came in as a redshirt freshman, 2018. He redshirted with me, and now we're here in 2023 playing our last home opener. So it's definitely just eye-opening, and you don't really know how good you're really doing in life until it takes other people to be you're in grad, as you say, you're in grad school, you're doing football, we don't really think about that stuff, but as when people come and compliment you and just have good things to say about you, it really does make you proud of yourself.
Now I do want to ask, because the one thing that as when you do what I do, I sort of get to know some of the kids along the way, and I understand the ebb and the flow, and it can suck at times. To the guys that quit, and it doesn't matter what year they quit. You lose guys every year.
A lot of guys.
When you think back about all your buddies that didn't make it, or whatever academics or whatever it's got to make you feel really sort of self-fulfilled that you didn't take that path. Because, I mean, let's be honest. It's August. It's 140 degrees on the turf. And, you really don't want to be out there. But can you sort of put in perspective, what sort of life win that is? Because it is hard work. I mean, you dealt with coaching changes. You dealt with a pandemic. I mean, you guys dealt with a lot to see this thing to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, just as you said, it's a lot of – I mean, it's been 6 years now, so it's been not just during the season, but, six spring balls, all the off season, all the grind between each of the semesters. So it's just been a whole lot. It has been a long ride. But, yeah, looking back, the fact that we stayed and held through and just kept coming back to chase for another goal, it does say a lot for both of us.
And it's like Coach Nulph says to us all the time, it's hard work. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody that quit, they would still be with us, guys I came in here with. But, with spring ball, obviously hard work, and then coming in August, it's hard work. But most people, for me at least, I'm geeked to come back and, compete, and I'm tired of seeing, the red jerseys. I know the red jerseys are tired of seeing the white jerseys.
I know that for a fact, too.
So we're ready to see other people. But like I said, it's hard work, and if you prepare yourself right in the spring and you maintain that over the summer, if not get better, it's honestly it's kind of not a breeze, but you'll make it through.
What would be a high for you? What's something that you can look back to that if you become incredibly successful in life? What's a low mark that you can look back and say, you know what, that made me a better person. I'm here now because that sort of happened along the way. I mean, it's a journey, as you mentioned. 6 years, lots of ups, lots of downs.
Well, Coach Nulph knows what I'm talking about, but when he first came, me and Coach Nulph, we weren't
oil and water.
Yeah, we didn't see eye to eye. I was real lazy, and he's coming in trying to change the culture. And I just remember one time we were doing conditioning, and he kicked me off because I wasn't really going my hardest, and I eventually ended up quitting in 2020. Yeah, 2020, and I just remember regretting it immediately. And I always tell him, I thank him, like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here right now. So I always tell him how much, like, he's, like, trusted me and had faith in me. And that's always a moment I look back. I tell everybody about that.
Yeah, very few finishers, very few winners at the finish line haven't lost somewhere along the way, right? Coop, what about you?
I guess I would say for the most of my career, I was pretty healthy and everything all through the summer. I worked around my internship to, grind every single day and put in the work and get bigger, get stronger, get some weight on me for linebacker. And then once we came into camp, I was having a pretty good camp and came in that second week, and then I ended up getting a concussion, and that kind of just set me back a lot. And that was a real defining moment for me as far as, like, keeping myself going, keeping my head up, trying to recover from that while still trying to battle and, help the team win and everything. So I think that was a real defining moment looking back throughout my whole career that I'll look back and be proud of for fighting back through it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that I think we all take this for granted. And, obviously I'm at practice a lot, but I think a lot of people just see the 11 Saturdays, and they look at the record, and that's what it is, and that's where it stops. But not only do you have years, you've now got relationships that are going to last forever. And you're going to get a master's degree out. So I mean, when you look back, but what's the plan going to be for both you guys moving forward? What's the goal? I know you're a local kid, Coop. You're in southeastern PA. What's the plan going to be?
I mean, I wish I could tell you what I'm doing right off the bat. It's still in the air, but either Tampa with my dad, because I was born in Tampa. My dad's side of the family lives that way, and then or home with my mom and just trying to get a job in my degree. I got a degree, my undergrad degree in digital media production and journalism. So just somewhere around.
Oh, he wants to chase the big bucks, journalism. Well done. There you go.
Yeah.
Coop?
And then as far as me, I still have one class in the spring I need to get my degree, so I'm going to finish that out. I'm probably going to get a serving job, just something to keep me busy and stack up some cash before I graduate. And then I'm thinking down south, either Charlotte, I might go down to Florida. So it's still up in the air, same. But
hey, you only get to live this life once. Don't take it too seriously, because it's not a whole lot of fun otherwise. Guys, the football, an opportunity presents itself. We know how good Slippery Rock is. obviously, nobody lacing them up on either side, has an aspiration to lose. I mean, I would be very disappointed if you didn't think you were going to win. I wouldn't want you out there if you didn't. Yeah. But perspective-wise, if you could pull off the upset on your last time at Sox Harrison, what would that mean?
It'd be huge. I mean, that's how we all want to go out, especially our last time on Sox Harrison Stadium. Like, we want to go out with a win. We ain't going out there to lose, so it'd be huge for us, I think.
And like I said, you want to protect your home turf. We've let a lot of close ones slip, but this one would mean everything. That's our rivalry. More than anything, and it would mean the world to me because I'm trying to go out on a good, positive note. So.
Well, certainly, guys, appreciate the time this evening here on the Jake Nulph Show.
Thank you for having me.
More importantly, I appreciate the time here at the Borough and being contributors, and best of luck the rest of the way. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
All right, more to come. Coach Nulph, turn the page to the aforementioned Slippery Rock. This is the Jake Nulph Show here live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Back with Coach Nulph right after this.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back here to Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. The Jake Nulph Show, as we're running out of segments, running out of windows, running out of shows here. We're turning the page to November, the last PSAC West game. But what's it like? I mean, you guys spent so much time together, and that relationship, coach player, and you're a real hands-on kind of guy. What's that like? Because you are sending children off into the world, and I forgot about the COVID year. But what's that like from your perspective as you see these guys move on?
It's a good feeling. I always go back to what my college coach, Joe Walton, would talk about with us, and it's not what you are at 18, but what you become at 22 that's most important. And that was something that always resonated with me. And, with these 9 guys that are walking on Saturday, it's bittersweet because, just the impact that they have on me personally, and, the impact I know that I have on them, and not just myself, but our coaching staff and all of their teammates. I mean, that's why for us here at Edinboro, Joe, one of the biggest things that we talk about is our student-athletes experience and how important that is for us, that they have a great time at Edinboro. And that's what I had, a great student-athlete experience at Robert Morris, which is why I'm currently sitting in the chair that I am. So, you look at guys like Jaadon Kennedy and Killian Cooper, who you just had up here, and, those are guys that have just done the things all the right way. And, Jaadon shares that story. And that's a true story where, he just wasn't performing up to his potential, and I knew that he had more. And getting him to understand that. And since that moment, he's been a 2-year starter for us on that offensive line, and he's a vocal guy. He's fun to be around. My kids love him, and that's the thing that, it's family. Football is family, Joe. That's the best way I can explain it. And these are lifelong relationships. These guys will always be Fighting Scots. And when they graduate, and it's kind of what we talk about with our alumni and our program is, our players right now currently at Edinboro are paying stock into their program, But when they graduate, they own the stock now. And that's where you look at the 9 guys that are walking in: Jaadon Kennedy, Nathaniel Ribis, Brody List, Jake LaRue, Killian Cooper, Jayon Dugan, Avery Ennis, Ty Thornton, and Malcolm Johnson. Those guys are going to be a huge part of this legacy and this tradition here at Edinboro. And, obviously this season's not going, the way that we expected it to go. But I think there's certainly lessons. I think these guys have certainly laid a foundation for everybody else to come. And they're going to be guys that we're going to be talking about here for the next 5 to 10 years and hopefully long after.
It's funny that, Jaadon mentioned, and for those that don't know, offense wears white, red wears defense.
Yeah,
or red wears defense wears red for practice. How's that relationship? Because I see you turn it off all the time, or I see Coach Papley turn, or somebody might need to be screamed at, and then very quickly you're buddy, and you're coaching it up again. There might be fisticuffs, and then some dapping it up when it comes to the red versus white.
It's just a competitive nature.
But when you talk about that, like the true essence of family.
Yeah.
Where you're yelling and screaming at somebody in one instance, and then the very next instance you've got their back.
Yeah, and that's the thing where we talk about these life lessons that we're teaching here. And I've always looked at football, for me, Joe, it runs parallel with life. And, in my 40 years here on earth, I've been able to pull from each one that have helped me get through certain situations, and our players are the same way. We share these life lessons, and we have real conversations with our guys. And what they're learning now as a college student athlete, particularly in football, is just something that's going to propel them into the next chapter of whatever it is they're going to do. And, it's the coolest thing. And there's a lot of great things about my job, Joe. And the best thing is seeing these young men graduate and knowing that, we've had our part in their experience, and then getting invitations to players' weddings. And there's just, and the text that former players of mine to this day, and calls, and, even myself to some of my coaches, that's the football is family part of this thing. And it's tremendous. It's certainly a huge part of why we do what we do. And, we really want to go out and show out for these guys on Saturday, because it's the last time that they're going to be lacing it up at Sox Harrison Stadium.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that, whether it's, senior day in high school or senior day in college, that there's the limited number of opportunities. And, I think when you're young and foolish, I don't think you understand the expiration date. And to have 9 get through, think about how many, if you finished with 9, how many did you start with?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And, I think that's just such an incredible accomplishment, because it's hard. Yeah. It's not, the glitz and glam of collegiate athletics is very small in comparison to the work that goes behind it.
Well, and you heard Jaadon up here talking to you about, and this is something we always say, is, look, we don't play chess or checkers. We play football. And if it was easy, everyone would do it. But it's not easy. It requires hard work, dedication, hours, commitment, you name it. But that's why, ultimately, and for all of our employers out there looking to hire some of our guys here, particularly alumni, to me, the communication piece of being a student athlete, whether it's football or any other sport, to me as an employer makes them attractive, because we talk about teamwork, we talk about commitment level, dedication. These
and working through adversity, because nobody survives this thing without getting their feelings hurt in some way or another.
And that's where, again, that's why I love football. And again, I look at Saturday's a time for us to reflect on these 9 players, and we got to go out and we got to play extremely hard, and we got to try to get a win on home turf for them, because it's their last one.
And you mentioned a daunting task. Slippery Rock is very good, number 1 in Super Region 1, number 5 in America. But again, this is the lay of the land. Everybody knows how good they are, but you got to go out there and expect to win, just like everybody laces it up and expects to win. But this will be a tough ask. This is a very good football team.
This may be the most balanced Slippery Rock team I've seen since being in the league since 2019. I had that conversation with our staff today, and they echoed that sentiment, where you think about they had these really talented offenses in the previous years, and I think of Roland Rivers in 2019, and then even again with Litwin and that crew in 21, where I thought last year defensively they were really solid. And now you fast forward to 23, and I think they're clicking in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And look, as of today, they're number 5 in the country. It's a well-coached team. They're a big play team. They create turnovers. They hit chunk plays. They create opportunities in the kicking game. This is, other than Duquesne, this is definitely going to be the most talented team we've seen to date.
Things certainly don't get any easier. Mark Bales last week, Kyle Sheets this week, big-time local product here, but big-time vertical threat.
Yeah, and, he's – the thing that the difference between him last year and him this year is you can tell how much work he's put into the offseason. He looks at least 10 pounds thicker on tape than what he did last year, so that he put the work in, and now he's seeing the rewards throughout, as he enters week 10 here. And that's the thing where they have weapons. Look, they got 3 running backs that are equal as far as talent, and they each bring something different.
And they're all different too.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're all equally good, but they're all equally
That's
different.
What I mean. They just, they have a power guy, they got a speed guy, they got a perimeter guy. They all have a little bit of different tools in their toolbox, but they're all effective. To me, it starts Joe up front. This offensive line is the best that we're going to see, and there's a reason that they're having a lot of success on offense. That starts with that front 5. They've got 3 big-time receivers. They got a tight end who's extremely capable in the run game, in the pass game that they use. At Q,
And that was their only question mark, right?
Yeah.
And he Long certainly answered the bell. I believe they returned, 19 to 22 starters from last year, and QB being one of them, and that was all the preseason. Well, he's done okay. He's done okay.
This is a deep football team. It's got a lot of depth. It's extremely talented. Like I said, this is going to be our tallest task to date.
Yeah, certainly going to be there. Now, you talk about an upset. Senior day, there's going to be a lot of momentum. 2 things, 2 reasons you win, 2 reasons you lose.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, too, and we've talked about this, I think Slippery Rock does a really good job of their splash plays and momentum and seizing opportunity. I mean, this is a group that can score fast and they can score quick. And it's all set up via whether it's an interception, a forced fumble, a big return, but they play complementary football and they feed off of each other. So the first task is, we're going to have to handle momentum swings, which, we didn't do relatively well last week against Seton Hill. We've got to make sure they earn it. We can't give them anything cheap. We can't turn the ball over. And we just got to play one play at a time and get that emotion and momentum back in our favor. And then obviously the second thing is going to be the turnover battle. Look, it's no secret in the last 2 weeks we're -5.
Yeah.
Right? And it shows at the end of the day in the win-loss column. So that, to me, again, if we can manage the football, manage momentum, stay in it, play one play at a time, I like our chances. Again, this is a very talented Slippery Rock group. We've got to have a great week of practice, and we got to come out. We got to get back to our details, and we got to show up physically too now. That's the one thing I didn't mention, is this is a physical outfit. I talked about that offensive line, but this is a group that in Slippery Rock that they're fast, they're physical, they get after it, they're downhill. They're going to challenge you, and we have to be up to the task.
I did want to note, we failed to mention, Ty Thornton, the 814 outdoor sports player of the game last week, 2 sacks all over the place. Armani Bailey had a big game.
Huge game.
But certainly, you said this, and if we're going to be good, our best players have to play like our best players.
Yeah.
And hopefully there may be some jump off from last week, because some of the guys that if you're going to pull off an upset, it's those guys that have to really jump to the front of the page.
Absolutely, and that's where, you mentioned, Ty and Armani and, Tegan and Thad. Thad started to get back in that stat column and his big play capability. And, look, we've got to create negative plays on defense to get the offense behind the sticks, which we've talked about on this show at nauseum. We've got to have the ability to move the sticks and hit our splash plays on offense, take care of the football. And honestly, when we get short fields and field positions in our favor, we got to punch it in the end zone.
All right, we are done for this episode of the Jake Nulph Show. Thanks to Jaadon Kennedy and Killian Cooper for joining us before they do it one last time on Saturday at Sox Harrison Stadium. Of course, thanks to Bill and Jen here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. And, of course, Coach Nulph for sharing his time with us each and every week. Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe, and go Burrow.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.